about a half an hour. I want to bring in two different viewpoints from two Tea Party guests, Russo, chief strategist for the Tea Party Express, and Adam Brandon, vice president of communications for the hardline conservative group Freedom Works. So, gentlemen, well, I hear the laugh. Accurate. I hope that. But Sal, let me just begin with you. You say, listen, with regard to Obamacare and what we've been seeing playing out the last couple of weeks on Capitol Hill, you say just in the fight now, right?
Well, I mean, I think the deal that we're talking about today, is an example of a failure. When you look at what's going to be accomplished, it's really nothing more than kicking the can down the road. So we're totally dissatisfied with where we are. I mean, we're not doing anything to remedy all the problems with Obamacare. We're not doing anything in terms of excessive spending. We're not doing anything about dealing with our debt in the long term. So this is a kick the can down the road solution, so we're totally dissatisfied with it. I mean, we applaud Ted Cruz and Mike Lee for putting up the fight and trying to educate the American people. And, ideally, we want to try to convince 5 Democrats in the Senate to vote to defund Obamacare. We didn't get that done, but that doesn't mean we're happy with letting the law take effect as it is, because as people are finding out today is they're not getting to keep their insurance policies. The premiums are a lot higher than Obama said. They don't get to keep their doctors. People aren't signing up. I mean, there's lots and lots of problems that should be addressed, and I think it's totally irresponsible that the Congress is just walking away from it and not solving any problems.
And I couldn't agree more with what he just said. The one thing I would add is if you look at this deal as it's emerging, we're going to get back together here in December. It's Groundhog Day again here. And what I'm fearful is not only is this just kicking the can down the road, but it's going to go backwards. What's going to happen in December? My fear is that we're going to undo a lot of the sequestration cuts.
So, Adam, why was this a good idea?
What was a good idea? Trying to stop Obamacare? Why is that a bad idea?
No, I don't want to argue the merits of Obamacare right now. I understand you'll feel strongly, and there's another place and time for that. I'm talking about this specific strategy, tying the defunding of Obamacare to the funding of the government, and then how it went on from there, House Republicans and Senate Democrats not being able to reach any sort of compromise. If you could go back in time, do you think there would be a way to do this more effectively?
I don't really think. We've got to keep this fight up. Obamacare is going to cost $2 trillion over the next 10 years. I think the best time to stop a broken entitlement program is before it starts. So I don't think this is a fight that anyone wanted, but it needs to be had.
But don't you think that your party and maybe even the Tea Party movement within the Republican Party is weaker today than it was 3 weeks ago? Polls would suggest that most of the American people hold the Republicans in Congress more responsible for the shutdown, more responsible for this fight, and the unfavorable ratings for the Republican Party have gone up. Would it not hypothetically have been a better plan, and obviously this is 2020 hindsight, but to not wage this fight, let Obamacare, the websites launch, and sputter along unsuccessfully, and make the arguments about how they are just a symptom of the problem, etc., not have 400,000 people furloughed, not have people who need veterans benefits or WIC funds for their poor babies deprived of those or afraid of being deprived of those, and then you're in a better position to make the argument against Obamacare.
The House passed plenty of bills that did all of that, but just didn't fund the broken program of Obamacare. The House was trying their best to do these rifle shot bills that would keep the parks open, keep NIH funding going. And
I don't want to get into I understand the piecemeal funding argument, and I understand both sides, but strategy-wise, could not have been a better idea.
You are articulating a fantastic argument for Republicans, but what this movement is about is more about principle. It's the long-term fight. Republicans are going to have to answer for what the best strategy is for Republicans. What you have people like Mike Lee and Ted Cruz fighting for is what's going to be good for the long term of the country.
Okay, hindsight's 2020. I want to look ahead to the future, because let's say, to both of you, let's say that this deal is adopted. We know that they would have to set up this, a powerful conference committee and the issues they tackle to work out long-term tax and spending reform. So picture Speaker Boehner and Leader McConnell. And do you think that they will pick Tea Party members of Congress to sit on this particular committee, or do you think at that point they're going to say, you got us into this mess, you're in timeout?
But see,
Sal, to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big problem is, and some of the Republican pundits and establishment people have said, well, the Defund Obamacare isn't the fight. We should wait for the debt ceiling fight. Or now they're saying we should wait and negotiate after the debt ceiling fight. The problem is that we've spent 5 years negotiating. We've gotten nothing out of Obama. He's been unwilling to negotiate. He's unwilling to try to fix some of the problems.
I'm not asking about Obama negotiating. Let me just jump back in. With regard to this specific committee, will the Tea Party, will you have a voice on this committee? Because you're the side, it looks like in the end, that's lost this fight.
I really hope we do have a voice in there, because if you're looking at what generally comes out of these negotiations are cuts 30 years from now. 30 years from now, I'm going to be looking at retiring. What we need is some cuts and to right-size the government now. We are $17 trillion in debt. We're borrowing nearly $1 trillion per year. We can't keep kicking the can down the road.
Okay.
Right. And we haven't achieved anything in 5 years. We haven't achieved anything in 5 years. The only thing we've achieved is a sequester, which was a stupid idea of Obama's that actually took effect because nobody thought it would take effect. So I'm very pessimistic that negotiations with this president are going to get anywhere.
I hear your pessimism, and I know a lot of Americans share the view. And Sal Russo and Adam Brandon, we appreciate that. We appreciate you coming on and letting us know how you feel.